All right, guys, welcome back to our channel. Today's another video where I have somebody else in the real estate industry join us. A good friend of mine, Carson from Michigan. He's 21 years old, and he actually has a really cool story as well. He never really went to college at all, so he started real estate straight out of high school, and he's been really successful with it. He started, as many of us did, in the wholesaling space, just wholesaling houses in his area. And now he's doing, building his rental portfolio, he's doing fix and flip rehabs and just kind of growing his business, bringing people in to scale up. And I've met him at one of those masterminds that we usually attend to once a quarter in Florida. And he's really amazing too. So stay tuned to kind of learn how he got started in real estate, learn about his story. And just kind of, we talk about some best practices and how to get started in real estate. What are the fundamental things? We talk about mindset, building a network, and kind of like just building your trust and confidence along the way that you're able to do those kind of things, and the white space of real estate, what it offers. So yeah, stay tuned. As always, like and subscribe to our channel, help us grow. Let us know in the comments below if those videos are helpful for you guys, and if there's anything else that we can provide to add value to you guys. And we are trying to have more and more people that we know within our network join us and share some of their interesting thoughts about real estate and how they got started, and their best practices and tips and tricks. So with that being said, let's get right into the intro and then jump into the video. Alright guys, welcome back to our channel. For those of you who do not know me, obviously my name is Max, and together with my wife Kaitlin, we have started a virtual and almost nationwide real estate business. We started in the wholesaling, flipping space, and are transitioning more and more and building assets into the multifamily and the single family space. And today's video is all about kind of like talking on how to get started in real estate. So for most of you guys, obviously our story, how we got started in flipping land. But I have another really interesting story for you guys. Today I have Carson with me. Carson is a good friend of ours. He's in Michigan, Flint, Michigan, and he does some, crazy amount of deals. And he actually has a really, really crazy story how he got started in real estate in his first deal. And I think it's mind-blowing to hear that. So how about you get us started, Carson? Just a quick introduction for the audience, and then tell us about how you got started in real estate, and especially your first deal in real estate.
Yeah, sweet, man. Thanks for having me. So, like you said, my name is Carson Demick. I'm 21 years old. I got started when I was 18, roughly, so straight out of high school. And that's one thing I think is cool about my story, just because it kind of shows if I can do it, anyone can do it. When I first started, there were people that told me, no one's going to believe that you're going to buy their house. You look like you're 16, you look like you're 14. So all these different things that people could think would stop them from getting into real estate. And, I think that I kind of proved that that's not true. I never had a background in real estate, anything like that. So out of high school, I've always loved buying and reselling things. I found out about wholesaling real estate specifically. And for those of you that don't know what wholesaling is it's pretty much the best way to get into real estate, in my opinion, without money. A lot of people starting out are younger that want to get into real estate. Maybe their parents had rentals, or they just kind of understand the concept and want to get into it but don't have the money. So wholesaling is a good way to do that. And what it is you're kind of middlemaning these real estate transactions. So you're going and finding an investment property. Let's say, just to make the number simple, let's say the house completely remodeled and fixed up is worth $100,000. You're going to go and get it under contract with a seller. So you're going to find someone who wants to sell that house for $50,000 and say, hey, Mr. Seller, Max, I will buy your house for $50,000. And then I'm going to sign a contract with Max that says, I'm buying your property for $50,000 cash. It always has to be cash. And then I'm going to go and find an investor who's willing to purchase that property. Technically, they're purchasing the contract from me, but it's just easier to understand. They're purchasing the property, so for $60,000 maybe, whatever you can sell it for. So I'm going to go to another investor and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Investor, you can buy this contract from me for this property for $60,000, and you can put 10 grand into it and sell it for 100, right? Because it's worth 100 fixed up. So how that kind of works out is the buyer ends up bringing the $60,000 to close, you get the $10,000 and then the seller gets the original $50,000 that you agreed on with them for their house. Because obviously you still have to fulfill that obligation to the seller. So, but like I said, you don't need any money to do that. Like all it is 2 pieces of paper. It's a purchase agreement with the seller for the $50,000 and then an assignment contract to the buyer for $60,000 or whatever you can sell it for. And then you make the difference. So yeah, I just started like watching YouTube videos and going to a bunch of local meetups. And that was huge. Like going to the meetups was really important for me because I got to learn from other people who were doing wholesaling. You kind of get like a proof of concept from it because you're like, man, this guy's doing it. Why can't I do it as well? So started going to meetings, researching it. After about like 6 months of doing that, I finally got to the point where I could, or was willing to, able to like make phone calls and call sellers and try to get the first deal. So that's when I found my first deal. It was about 6-7 months after I started. Even before that, this is the story you were referencing, Max, the kind of crazy one that happened in Detroit. And I'm in Flint. So Flint and Detroit are kind of similar in like the fact that they're really distressed, obviously. There's a lot of crime. A lot of the houses are just vacant or worth, $5,000, $10,000. So the first appointment I ran in Detroit, I was cold calling off of for sale by owners off Zillow. And this lady answered the phone and she said, I want to sell my house, probably like I want $15,000. And she knew she wasn't going to get that, but she just kind of threw that out there. And I was with a mentor at the time who was doing like 5-10 deals a month. And he was like, hey, let's go run this appointment. This will be your first appointment. You can go take a look at the house and we'll see if we can make a deal out of it. So I was like, cool. So we drive to the house. This is like one of the worst areas of Detroit. And we get out of the car, go inside the house. There's probably like 15, 20 people in this house, all just like sitting on the couch, or they were all just standing around the kitchen. The house was really rough, like it needed a lot of work. And we're walking around, the owner's showing us the bedrooms, the bathroom, like shows us the house. And we start to walk upstairs and this guy and girl are walking down the stairs. And like the owner asks the guy and says, oh, who is she? Like, who is that girl you're with? And he was just like, oh, my friend, she just got shot. And we're like walking up the stairs as they're walking down. And so I like turn around and look, and she's got like blood just running down her back from this gunshot that she had just gotten. Like, I don't know if it was that morning or what, but long story short, the owner wasn't even fazed. She just said, oh, okay. And then continued to walk up the stairs to show us the upstairs. And, cause it's just like, I guess, normal day in the life of Detroit, I guess. But the cops ended up like parking us in. So we had to ask them to move their vehicle so we could just pull out of the driveway. It was crazy. But yeah, that was my first appointment ever. So
it's just so crazy. I mean, most people would probably be like, okay, real estate is not for me. That's my first appointment. You get faced by something like this, you'll be like, holy shit, I'm safe. I made it out of this. Never, ever. But you're like, okay, fuck it. And then, just keep going on and then buying more stuff. But that's definitely, real estate, depending on what you're doing. Obviously, if you do the wholesaling in a virtual kind of setting, you don't really have to look at houses. But a lot of people going and hunting those fix and flips, man, you guys going to see a bunch of really nasty stuff because, you're not going to buy an amazing top condition house and start renovating it, right? You got to buy stuff that is really run down. If this is something that you want to do, if those are the deals that you want to, start and you want to be, if you're passionate about, renovating it, then those are like the stories that you have to tell. But there's just so much in real estate. I'm not that kind of guy who likes to get dirty on those kind of deals. I just look at them. I'm like, okay, this is what it's worth. And I sell it to somebody else who then likes to go in and, do the renovation. If I do a renovation, it'll be probably like a minor kind of, touch up, kind of like putting a lipstick on a pig, but not the hardcore, cat shit everywhere. And the kitchen is just gross because those things just make me feel like dirty.
Yeah, man, that's kind of the fun of it. I enjoy that now because I've ran so many appointments. It's fun for me to just like go look at houses. It's not the best use of my time. And like you said, you don't have to go look at houses. Like most of the big wholesalers, big flippers, not the flippers, but the big wholesalers don't even go look at these houses themselves. And I've done multiple virtual. So you might, if you don't want to be in like a distressed, dangerous area, just go to the suburbs. Even of Detroit, there's really nice suburbs. But it also goes to show you might be in a market similar to Flint or Detroit, where houses are selling for 20, 30, 40,000, and you can still do like super well in those markets. So there's really, every single market works. You can pick whatever market you want and be successful in it, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many deals, so many homes out there, and there's a new deal every single day. Like if you just keep staying consistent, you will have success. And it might take a little bit, but consistency will be the major importance. And one of the things you mentioned, I think it's really important to touch base again is building networks, right? So you went to a bunch of meets, just meeting other people in the industry. First of all, to build that mindset, right? If you're new to it, just seeing other people that did it and then realizing, hey, this guy is just like me, right? He's nothing special than me. Or he might even seem like sillier than me, right? He might seem like he has no idea what he's doing or whatever. And then you see those kind of people and like, dang, this guy does it. Why am I not doing it, right? Or just kind of like talking to people and finding mentors. I think it's so important having somebody who has done it, being able to take you under their wings and just kind of like showing you, okay, this is how I'm doing deals. So you can kind of avoid that first, learning curve where you might do something wrong and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. So like the first couple deals obviously need to be successful for you to build the confidence, and it's so important to have people help you. So even if you're like going in, joint venturing with people, let's say you go to those meetups and you find people that are in that space and you offer them like, hey, what if I find a deal? Would you guys like to joint venture? And then even though you get less profit out of it, but you have somebody guiding you and you just the sponge sucking in all the knowledge and how they do those things and what contracts they use, how they talk to buyers, agents, closing attorneys and so on, and then just do it yourself at the second one. I think that's really important, getting your foot in the door, or passively investing into it, finding syndications and putting your money into that if you're at the end, in an older space where you like to just put money in and have it work for you rather than the stock market. But I think for most younger people, you didn't even go to college, right? And that's another thing that's so important. You don't need a degree to do it. Sometimes it's so important just to break out of these stereotypes where everyone is like telling you need to get a degree, you need to get a student loan, you need to work to pay that student loan off, work 40 hours a week, have 2 days of vacation. I think that's just like the mindset a lot of people are following our age. And I think it's so refreshing just to see that there's still people out there that don't accept the norm and they push against it and have success with it, right? It doesn't matter what age you are. There's never a time where you're too young. It just depends on, how hard you want to push. And I think that's, your story kind of syndicates that, right? You started really young, you didn't go to school, you did your own thing and you did the networking piece. So you combined it all to now be successful and, living your life and having your freedom. I think that's, really cool.
Yeah. And I think to even take it like the college thing, that's a good point too, because you just said like breaking the stereotype, I guess. People expect you to do that, but really asking yourself why you're doing that or why you're doing whatever you're doing, even why you want to get into real estate. Like that's one cool thing about the meetups is, and this is a good and bad thing because a lot of people get really overwhelmed. Like they go to this meetup and they see me and I'm wholesaling houses every month. And then they see you and you're buying land. And then they see this other guy and he's doing new developments. And then they see this girl and she's just, interior designer, whatever the case may be. Like there's so many different avenues to get into it. And like you said, there's even the passive route where you're not going looking at dirty houses. You're not dealing with contractors. You're not dealing with anything. Like you're just giving money. And then people like us are doing the legwork and giving that money out as interest payments or whatever the case may be. So to go to those meetups is really good to get a feel for what's out there. And then you can kind of see like what's working for other people. And then from there, you can decide what you want specifically out of real estate, because people who go into it with no idea of what they really want from it, I think that's probably why people get so indecisive or they don't start, is because they're not sure what they want to do. Like, should I flip? Should I wholesale? Should I buy and hold? For me, like starting out, my goal was never my 5-year goal was never to buy a bunch of rentals. And if I would have stuck with that would have really helped me. But maybe that is your goal. And maybe you can, like in the next 5 years, I have 14 rentals right now. So I didn't know a thing about real estate 3 years ago. Now I have 14 rentals. Maybe that's just your goal, to have $5,000, $10,000 of passive income a month coming in. And that's all you want to do. That's as far as you want to take it. Like, that's great to know starting out, because then you can just meet with landlords at these meetings and learn how they did it. Go to your 14 houses and you're done. But yeah, that's the beauty of real estate, man. There's so much opportunity. And I tell people too, you know, because I'm really passionate about it, just because of what it's done for my life and the opportunities that it's provided me. A lot of people will say, why are, you know, real estate's not for everyone. Like, yeah, and I'm not saying it's for everyone. And that's why I'm saying figure out what you want first. But there's a lot of people that work jobs they hate that could do real estate. And even if they hate it, they're going to make a lot more money than being a garbage man if they hate being a garbage man. So it's like, you might hate it, but if you hate your current job, why not do it and make double the money? So that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, or just even like getting started as like a side hustle too, right? Nobody just has to go in full time. And we both can probably sing a song about how stressful it is being a full-time real estate entrepreneur while you're young, right? It's definitely, you know, most of the days it's stressful. You're dealing with a lot of things at the same time, a lot of leverage. You know, nobody's teaching you to be a business owner. Nobody's teaching you to build systems, to build employees, and then do all those things. You have to learn it by yourself. So if you're going through the struggle, there's nobody that you can just like, you know, hold on to, because you're the guy who's handling it. So being the entrepreneur, obviously it's not for everyone, but just like doing certain side hustles, even if you do like 1 or 2 projects a year and they pay you another 20 grand, right? If your net salary coming out of college is like 40, 50 grand, that's pretty much, you know, a pretty big increase. And then those kind of things will make a difference. And then you get the taste for it. And then the next day you might do 4 of those and then kind of transition into it. Some people need that security of having a job, you know, being in their comfort zone. I totally get it, right? It's not easy always being out there by yourself, you know, not in your comfort zone, being always uncomfortable, because as an entrepreneur, it's always that, you know, up and down, hustling through and figuring out your way of success. And there's going to be a lot of days where you're like, shoot, man, I just hate it. Like, why am I doing this? Right? It's not so fun than it sometimes looks like, because at the end of the day, man, you know, there are days where you have to work 12, 14, 16 hours a day just to get something done for the next day. And there's nobody it's not like it's 5 p.m. you just go home and you can stop it, right? Because if nobody does anything, right? It's you, especially the beginning, to get over the hump and building a business. It's you putting the work in, being committed. You maybe not going to that party on Saturday night because you have to, you know, find deals on Zillow and make offers. So on Monday you'll get something on a contract. So it's like kind of, you know, what is your goal? But definitely key takeaways, you know, it's never too late, or it's never too early to get started with it. It's all about the mindset game, you know, being able to step out of that mindset that is being implemented in you and being able to take action for what you want to be. And it's so much about the networking, right? Nowadays, I think nobody can really start something new and just be successful. It has to be, I mean, you can, but if you want to be successful quickly, there's so much information out there on the internet. People giving, you know, free education like us, talking to people at meetups. Facebook is a huge source, LinkedIn, and just connecting with people that are willing to jump on a call and, you know, give you some insight for 30, 40 minutes. And those kind of things will make the learning curve, you know, a lot steeper, and you'll be able to succeed a lot faster. So that's, you know, I think that's the key takeaway of the basics, how you really get started in real estate. Obviously, we could talk for hours and hours about the different kind of, you know, niches within the industry, but I think whatever you want to do, that's just like the basic. If you have that, you can start it all. And even if you don't want to do real estate, any other business, right? If you want to flip cars, right? I've seen people do a lot of money with just like buying cars and selling. And nowadays it seems like cars are just as attractive as real estate. There's a huge shortage in new cars. So people are buying used cars and then selling them again on the open market to people, right? So those kind of things are crazy to me too. But there's so many ways. I mean, even with like e-commerce, you do something like this too, right? Where you basically buy stuff and then sell it on, was it Amazon?
Yeah, so I sell it on Walmart, so I'm like an authorized seller on Walmart. But it's funny, I just checked this morning, and like you going back to it being stressful being an entrepreneur, this morning I checked and my account's suspended by Walmart. And it's just like one of those things, man, and you kind of just learn to like laugh at it. because there's just so many ups and downs. Like I got an accepted offer this morning. Great. I signed a contract for a house. I sold it. Great. And then an hour later, my Walmart store is suspended. No more income. I have a credit card bill I have to float. Like, so it definitely is, it's kind of crazy, but you kind of learn just to take it as it comes, and everything always works itself out. Like now when I have things come up, even like this week, it's only Tuesday, but I've had a couple of things come up and I'm like, man, that's like, I had a big deal fall through and I'm just like, oh my word, what am I going to do? But I've been doing this for 3 years and I'm still here, and I've had a million problems along the way. So it's like, I know in 2 months from now, I'm not going to have any of the problems I have right now. So it's just like, all right, on to the next. But it's wild, man. It's definitely not easy. And then, we get up, when I'm talking about it, I'm super passionate about it. We're talking about all the pros of it, but there's definitely things that aren't as pretty, like you said, and they're not necessarily downsides because it's all just part of the process. But it's not it's not as easy as some people make it out to be. It's not as easy as it might sound when you see it on TikTok. Like the process, especially of wholesaling, is super simple, right? Like you and me can go do a wholesale deal in a day and it's all locked down, but there's 2-3 years behind that of like mental tricks we've learned, like even just self-discipline, whether it's getting up at a certain time. Where we met each other was at a mastermind that we both pay to be a part of. So all that stuff kind of goes into making it easy. And I think the reason people, get into it with this idea of like it's super easy is just because it's simple. Like when I explained wholesaling at the beginning of this, it's a pretty simple process, but there's, mental stuff, there's education that goes behind it. And it's really just all hard work. And that's why I say if somebody does that, if I can do it, anyone can do it, because that's all I really had. Like you said, I didn't go to college. I don't have like family in real estate. I just put in the work, and that meant going to real estate meetups and I had no idea what I was doing there. Like no idea what I was talking about. I went there, I dressed nice, and I said, hey, what do you do? Like just started asking people about what they did. And people love to talk about themselves. People love to talk about what they do, just like I do even right now. So it worked out, and people were able to kind of help me through those. I built a list of people to like call if I had issues. I mean, I called your wife, Kaitlin, like 2 weeks ago because I had a piece of land in Flint. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this land. Like, I'm going to call Max and Kaitlin because they do land. So, things get easier as you build more of a network. But starting out, it's like you just have to dive in head first. And then those things will just kind of come and grow as you get more experience in the business. But yeah, it's tough, but it's rewarding for sure. I think that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's benefits with everything and downsides with everything. You got to pick your poison at some point, but eventually we're all working for freedom, right? We're young, we're willing to sacrifice now, and then hopefully in 5 years or so, we have the freedom of having a system and people working for us that allows us to step away and then actually stop at 5 p.m. But at the end of the day, if shit hits the fan, you're the one who has to get it back on track. So that's some of the things, you will never stop as an entrepreneur. There's no such thing as vacation. If the business needs you that day, you got to be there. You got to take calls and you got to make the work happen. But yeah, I guess for us, we just enjoyed it, right? It's like my daily mental workouts. I like to do it. And not everyone likes that, but there's just so many ways in real estate just to get started passively or get started as a side hustle. I think taking it as a side hustle and just doing like 1 or 2 deals a year, those kind of things will build a lot of confidence for later on success. But for us, we all have different stories. We didn't really have a chance when we started. We just had to get into it full time and making cash because I couldn't work and we had literally no cash on the bank. So those circumstances pushed us. But I think without that kind of, bad circumstance at the time, I would have probably done like 1 or 2 deals a year just to kind of get started, see how it is, being really conservative. And it's also good, right? But sometimes life pushes you on the fence and then you have to react and you have to, fight yourself out of it. And those kind of things are when you grow and build. But with that being said, how can the audience reach you? What's your social media? How can they do research about you? How can they reach you?
Yeah, I just started kind of posting a lot of content. I consider it more just like like what Max and Kaitlin do. We're just documenting what we do. Like that's really all there is to it. That's all we can share, what we've learned. So my Instagram is cdemick12. You should be able to see my name up here to spell my last name, but cdemick12. My TikTok, I think, is just cdemick. And I literally just started posting on that like yesterday. So if you want to reach out, honestly, Instagram is the best way. Other than that, I'll be posting content as much as I can, just as far as here's a deal I did, like proof of concept for you guys. And then you can kind of look at all the different case studies between me, Max, all the other people on these social media platforms and decide, what makes the most sense for you. But there's so many different ways. Like you said, I think it's important to just mention again, like whether you want to be active in real estate or passive, there's a lot of different ways to get into it. So hopefully I can provide some value if you end up following me and like my content. But yeah, if you have any questions, just reach out, shoot me a message.
Yeah, we also have your information down below. I'll make sure I put it all in the description so people can find you. And then, we should definitely get together for some more videos. If you guys leave us any comments below, something that you guys want us to specifically talk about, or talk about certain deals, we'd appreciate that so we can come back together and create more content for you. And with that being said, obviously we enjoy you guys sticking through the video and listening to it. And always like and subscribe, help our channels grow so we can build more of that content for you guys and add more value to you. And I appreciate you guys for hanging in there. Thank you.
Sweet. Thanks, Max. Appreciate it, man.